Well, it's time for some fantasy now. Let's talk about the waiver wire. And I bet some of your superstars are playing awful football, some of your high draft picks, and I'm sure some of your low draft picks are playing pretty doggone good and getting you some points. I told you about Eddie Royal of the Denver Broncos. This is still the best rookie in the National Football League. If you didn't pick him up last week, then you're probably a little late. But I'm telling you, this is a great football player, and if he's still out there in your league, then people aren't paying attention and don't understand fantasy. Grab Eddie Royal like I told you last week, and I hope that somebody did just that because he's giving you some points. Now let's look at some other guys that I'd get rid of and a defense I'd get rid of and some other guys I'd add. Let's talk about the people we need to drop. One is the Lions defense, and I know somebody out there is ducking and saying, okay, I drafted him, and a lot of you are saying, I wouldn't have drafted Detroit's defense. Don't lie. Some of you did because they fool us as always. They got a defensive staff. Rod Marinelli's a defensive coach. They can't stop a high school football team from scoring. So if you grab them and you were dumb enough to draft them, then you got to be smart enough to get rid of them and take some other defense. And there's a lot of defenses that, well, most defenses are better than the Lions. Right now they're not worth it. They'll be out there. If they start to get hot, you can grab them again. But right now, let them go. Get rid of Detroit because this is an awful football team that can't stop anybody. Another drop, and this may shock you, and it shocks me that I'm even saying it, is Carson Palmer. If he was a high draft pick for you or some mid-round draft pick, because I know running backs are the premium in most fantasy leagues, you got to get rid of Carson Palmer. There's no rhythm on the team, and it's not just his fault, but we're talking fantasy now. People aren't getting open. He is not the same player he was. 3 years ago, it was him, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning, the three best football players at that position in the league. Three best quarterbacks in the league. Now, you can't put him in the top 8 or 9 quarterbacks, and he's not getting you many points. You know what? I would, if you have a backup, I'd play him until Carson Palmer proves that he can get back into the rhythm. Cincinnati's awful, and they're going to be starting to be some finger pointing there. I guarantee it. And I'm not so sure that you want to hang on to Carson Palmer. Matter of fact, I'd get rid of him until he proves something different and throw him out there and let somebody else have him right now. And that's my SC dog. But guess what? No fantasy points. Got to get rid of you. Nothing personal. You can't keep him on your roster the way they're playing. Now, some guys you need to add to your roster. If you didn't draft Kurt Warner, and I understand why, thought Matt Leinart was going to be the starter, and until late in the preseason when they finally announced it and there was speculation that Warner was going to be that guy, if you did, good for you. If he's still out there in your league, grab him because Arizona's the best team in the NFC West, and they will throw. Great wide receivers. Warner will put up numbers. And I know this seems like an obvious guy you'd take, but I'm sure a lot of people question, well, can he stay healthy? Well, should I get him? What happens if, Leinart's the first-round pick? They're going to eventually put him in. Right? Wrong. Ken Wisenhunt loves Kurt Warner, and Kurt Warner can still play, and he will put up numbers in 13 games that some quarterbacks won't put up in 16 games. Grab onto Kurt Warner. Another guy you need to add to your roster is Chris Johnson, the running back for Tennessee. Lendell White, I'm sure a lot of people left him off also. This is a very versatile and explosive running back. He's not Lendell White, big power, but he's a home run hitter. He's going to give you the long touchdown and add some points for your roster and add some points to your team and give you an upset victory or a big victory one week because he'll score a couple times. Yes, Lendell's down there going to get you yards and touchdowns in the short yardage, but Chris Johnson's one of those guys you may be able to steal and play him and get yourself some numbers from him. Love this kid at Tennessee, and he's one of our better rookies in the league. And Jeff Fisher loves him too. That's a good 1-2 punch when you got Lendell White and Chris Johnson, and he's playing really, really good football right now. I love this get. You got to jump on that as soon as possible. Another one is Lamont Jordan, kind of like Corey Dillon was when he was with the New England Patriots. Lamont Jordan, they're going to run the football now more. With Matt Castle, they're going to be more controlled passing game and then hand the ball off and protect the quarterback. They'll work some play action. But Bill Belichick in New England has a way of taking guys like Corey Dillon who may be either at the end of their career or haven't played well or not happy with their former situation like Lamont was in Oakland and come in and bam, just like that, they fit right in. I think Lamont Jordan's a good get and a guy that give you power yards and give you some inside the 5 touchdown runs and that they will lean on him and they will try to help Matt Castle by pounding the football. Lamont Jordan, I think, is going to be rejuvenated in New England. Is he your full-time starter all the time? No, but this is a guy that can give you some minutes and give you some points if you need them. I like Lamont Jordan. And finally, J.T. O'Sullivan. If you had Carson Palmer and you want to drop him and J.T. O'Sullivan's out there, grab him. And here's why. Mike Martz, their offensive coordinator, is going to throw whether they're winning by 30 or down by 30. Yeah, they're going to run the football with Frank Gore, and they're also going to throw it to him. But J.T. O'Sullivan threw for over 300 yards last week. There'll be a handful more of those. And if the 49ers are playing from behind, they'll put up numbers because their receivers are better this year. And if they're playing ahead, they'll put up numbers, or behind or ahead, because they'll put up numbers because Mike Martz loves to throw. And we all have an ego, And Mike wants to prove that the 49ers can put the ball up with any quarterback. And he liked J.T. O'Sullivan when he was with him in Detroit. Now he's got him in San Francisco. And this is going to sound crazy, but if I had both Carson Palmer and J.T. O'Sullivan on my roster, I would start J.T. O'Sullivan until something proves me wrong. I think the kid can throw it, and he's got good movement. And a lot of you left him off your roster, and I understand this also because we didn't know what they were going to do with Alex Smith. Well, Alex Smith at the end of this year will be out and be playing somewhere else. It will not be in San Francisco. J.T. O'Sullivan is their quarterback, and as long as he stays healthy, he's going to give you some points because they like to throw it, and J.T. O'Sullivan understands what Mike Martz is trying to do. There's some good waiver wire gets and some giveaways that I think you have and have to get rid of here in Week 2 heading into Week 3 of the NFL fantasy season.
So you think you can tackle a pro? There's only one way to find out. Click on fantasy at opensports.com.